The phrase, he's like a new signing, is one of the most overused cliches in football, and I personally rather hate it because it's normally used in the totally wrong context. Newcastle United could have used a player that's like a new signing at any point in this transfer window. With the amount of bad luck they've had with injuries and availability and whatever, they have been desperate to get to the January transfer window to try and get some reinforcements, but they have had the genuine example of this guy is like a new signing, and up and coming, rising star, wonder kid, whatever we want to call him. The Geordies love him. It's the one and only Lewis Miley. Now, Newcastle's problems on the pitch cannot be understated or undersold. This season it has went from bad to worse in terms of availability, but the results haven't went that way, and I've been super impressed with Eddie Howe, the whole team at Newcastle, how they've managed to, ride all these speed bumps, smash through these barriers, and keep their season, for the most part, bang on track. Recently on the channel, we featured the post-mortem on the Champions League and how that campaign is actually kind of a good thing and a bit of a silver lining. I'll link that at the end of this video in case you missed it, as well as some other Newcastle videos that we've been kind of analysing and look at the team progressing thus far. But for me, Lewis Miley, along with Livermento and one or two others, has been one of the main catalysts for keeping the results positive, for keeping the team operating at such a high level. And I know he's only contributed with one assist, becoming the youngest Englishman to register an assist in the Champions League and getting his first goal against Chelsea. Again, smashing it, records for doing that. Now, he very much looks his age. He's 17 years, but if you do watch him, he looks like a veteran. And I've said previously on content, if this guy was called Gavi or Pedri or something like that, he would already be nominated for the Ballon d'Or or something ridiculous like this. But because he's from Newcastle and his name's Miley and it's not anything too fancy, maybe he's been a little bit slept on thus far. But I think as the season goes on, it's clear to me that he's going to be one of the rookies of the year, one of the newcomers of the year kind of thing. Now, Lewis Miley's actually been on the scene for a little bit longer than you might think. He actually made his debut last season away to Chelsea in a game that was a real, I was going to say a six-pointer, but it ended up being a draw, but a real very important match for Newcastle at the sharp end of the season where points were prisoners and it was all about getting into the top four. He came on in this match, made his debut for 14 minutes, as you can see here. And by all accounts, internally, no one is that surprised that he's excelled so well because he has been in and around the first team for maybe a little bit longer. He's 17 at the moment, but way back then, he was 16. Now, the primary reason for me that he's like a new signing, this is the main kind of depth chart that I've got for Newcastle at the moment. Obviously, we've got Tonali slightly coloured differently because he's not really in the picture anymore. But if Miley wasn't on the scene, my main worry was this Newcastle midfield without that Tonali upgrade might not necessarily be any better than last season, and with it being a little bit thinner because you've lost that new recruit to try and beef up the numbers with another injury or two or a wee suspension, I really did worry for the Newcastle midfield. But with Miley coming in, he is like a new signing number one because he fits into the system perfectly. Eddie Howe's Newcastle plays this 8-8 midfield where all three midfielders are going to go box to box, up and down the pitch. Some of them have got slightly more defensive duties and slightly more attacking duties, but overall it's a 8-8 system where they're all going box to box, influencing the play, recovering in transition as much as any of them can when they can. And Lewis Miley fits into that system fantastically well. One thing I was really surprised about Miley when I seen Newcastle at home to Man United is actually how adventurous he is and how far forward he can get. He goes right into the nosebleed zones. He'll go right into the box, like we've seen for his goal and his assist in the Champions League, playing in these little channels where a little ball can get threaded into him. And for a young player, that is one of the most impressive things about him because this is the zone of the pitch where young players get scared, where they make mistakes, where they maybe fluff their lines, they don't make a clean connection. But this kid hasn't broken a sweat, hasn't lost his stride in any way, shape or form. And while Tonali is out, I think the Miley addition here makes him a credible, actual best 11 first choice midfielder for Newcastle right now. And with the form they're in, top 4, top 6, he does not look out of his depth whatsoever. Now, he is young, he is 17, so maybe Longstaff is going to get some minutes this season alongside him. So will Willock, Elliot Anderson are still floating around. I think the minutes will be quite well spread out and be well managed this year as soon as Newcastle gets some more reinforcements. But the second reason he's like a new signing is he relieves that pressure that was on the team without having Tonali. I think he's a very, very similar player to Sandro Tonali and how he gets around the pitch, how he's very good 1v1 at winning the ball, holding the ball. He does have a good eye for a pass as well. And like we said, he fits into the system system. He's a triple eight. He goes everywhere. The main difference between him and Tonali is Tonali's been around the block a few times. One Serie B, one Serie A, and now Miley, this is just his first 10 games or something. It feels like really the sky is the limit for a guy like this, as long as he's managed correctly and in a system that accommodates him, and it seems like all of that is moving in the right direction right now. I'm very hopeful Newcastle have a really big season. January is still going to be really important, but by adding Lewis Miley in like a new signing, it really changes Newcastle's outlook for the season. I don't think there's as much pressure to go into the January window to get midfield reinforcement to cover the Tonali issue as much as there maybe previously once was. That hopefully leaves up Newcastle some funds to maybe strengthen an attack, maybe in the wide area, give Gordon some support until Barnes comes back, which isn't long, I suppose. It's probably a wee bit premature to think about that. But certainly another quality defender, because as you've seen with the injuries did pile up like that, like it got pretty thin pretty quick. And with Dubravka in goals now rather than Pope for the next like 2 months maybe or something, maybe an extra strengthening in the defence is, you know, on the menu. But we'll be talking about that and a few other things in the next video that we look at Newcastle on screen, and now some other stuff that I've previously made about Newcastle probably that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and retweet, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.